Today we're talking about YouTube and censorship and the thing that's been going around lately about how YouTube is threatening to demonetize people who do profanity in their videos. And I thought I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it seems like an interesting topic to talk about. And first of all, I really am not big on profanity, and I think there's something to be said for the fact that we as a society have gotten to the point where for whatever reason, everyone feels like they've got to put the F word or some sort of random vulgar word into every single conversation. And that's not a good thing. It doesn't say anything positive about your level of maturity or your capacity for wisdom or anything like that if every single sentence has got a expletive just sort of sprinkled in there. It's kind of like the silent and which we want to put into our sentences when we don't know exactly what to say and we're not comfortable with having a pause. Only is a little bit more offensive. It's a little bit less respectful, or it's a little bit more vulgar, and yet it's basically the same thing. So when we're talking about profanity, I will start off by saying it's ironic that people are so obsessed with their foul language that they feel insulted or extremely persecuted if someone says that they can't swear. Do you really want your kids to swear? Like, what is the value of profanity in your life? Does it give you so much that you just can't bear to think of going on without being able to cuss and swear all the time? If that's true, then that's more of a personal problem than anything else. In any case, that's not the primary purpose of this video, though I thought it was relevant. My primary purpose for making this video is to talk about what YouTube has been doing to the streaming video upload content creator community, perhaps without even intending to, by censoring content. So, of all the content that I have seen YouTube be most inclined to censor, it tends to be things that are critical of something political or critical of the government or views that don't fit in with the narrative that's widely expected to be appropriate in society. Sometimes it's conservative views on the political spectrum. Sometimes it's just any view that doesn't support the government or views which are, for whatever reason, true or otherwise, segregated into that category of misinformation or something like that. Basically, that counterculture of any ideas that aren't mainstream, that are viewed as bad, those things have been censored on YouTube. And you can support that or not support that. We're not talking about the views themselves. We're talking about what happens when you start to censor a specific aspect of social dialogue. People still make that content. People still have those dialogues. People still share their views, whether YouTube is going to allow them to express themselves or not. It's just they're not going to express those views on YouTube if YouTube doesn't allow them to do so. Which means they go to other platforms. Platforms like Rumble, and I know there's a number of other ones out there. What's interesting about this is that if you go to a YouTube competitor, some other video hosting website where people can make videos and post them and share them with the public, what you'll find is that anywhere other than YouTube, you have this odd Wild West of strange, far-right, conservative sort of videos that are not necessarily bad content, if that's the content I want to see right now. But that's what's filled all of YouTube's competitor websites. All the things that YouTube says you can't post, you can't share them, you can't have this on our platform. And I'm not saying anything about videos that are lewd or anything like that. Nothing that's against the conventional, traditional terms of service as we always would have expected. I'm talking about things that are just basically political views that are not allowed. Those things pop up on YouTube's competitors because YouTube has forced them off of its platform or severely limited them on its platform. So what is the end result of this? The end result is you have all of the other websites that should be giving YouTube a run for its money essentially discredited, because now all that they have on them is a specific niche type of content, which is great if that's the content you want to see. But what if you just want to go watch gaming videos, or you want to watch cat videos, or you want to watch some random thing that's just general content that appeals to the average person? You're not going to go somewhere else because all those other websites don't have a balanced, diverse assortment of things for you to consume there. So YouTube has inadvertently turned its competitors into echo chambers for all of the views that it has tried to suppress. And as a result, it's also eliminated the potential for those other platforms to become legitimately competitive in a general way. And that's not good, because if you want to become a content creator, you should be able to say, well, what platform do I want to go make videos on? It shouldn't just be going without saying that of course you're going to go to YouTube, because where else would you go? Like, there's nowhere else that's going to be even remotely viable for you to consider. And that leads to this concept of the fake, I guess they call it the dead internet theory. It's a bit of a conspiracy theory that at some point the internet stopped being real. That's what's said and propagated in this theory. The general idea being that it's all there. You can go online, but it's not real anymore. And what that really alludes to, and it's kind of true, the internet used to be a bit of the Wild West. Like, you can go all over the place, and there were tons and tons of web forums and all sorts of little rabbit holes you could go down. But now, we don't really have that anymore, do we? We kind of do, but it's not like it used to be years ago, because there's a few major corporations that are the gatekeepers for all of the information, all of the content online. So it doesn't really feel like it's purely individuals just making content and doing what they want to do online in a free way. It feels like there's too much of a monopoly, where you just have a very few big voices that define everything we see and curate the content that we're able to make or consume. And then, of course, you have so much of it which is influenced by who pays the most money. It's just not quite as genuine as we wish it was. And maybe we're led to believe that everything is genuine and authentic, and yet very few things in life are authentic anymore, because most of them are driven by profit motive and by the desire to not allow anything that's outside the parameters of what a major corporation thinks is safe for its bottom line. Maybe there's nothing we can do to truly change that. Maybe that's just how the world works. But I do think it's fair to take a moment and at least acknowledge that that's not the way it ought to be. And if there are opportunities for us to add diversity, even if those are ideas we don't believe in, to the narrative, to add more uniqueness, to encourage people to be free, to be unique and expressive however they wish to be, to not be threatened by people's ideas. The more open we are, the more we avoid that model of censoring things that we don't like, the more we encourage a social discourse that's healthy and progressive and balanced. And I think that's an important thing for people in all walks of life to remember, because it's so easy to start to feel like the best possible thing you could do to get your point across or strengthen your position is to eliminate the opposition. But when you do that, you wind up becoming a monster, making a monster that maybe you didn't intend to make. Just like how YouTube's goal in censoring alternative content probably wasn't to be anti-competitive and to create an atmosphere where other platforms aren't viable for mainstream content. And yet that's de facto what's happened. We should always be willing to hear things, and creating an openness that empowers people to disseminate information freely doesn't mean that we endorse everything that they say. Just like how I don't really believe that profanity is a good idea in everyday life, and I don't personally swear all the time, and I think it's ridiculous for people to do that. But that doesn't mean that it's a good idea to try to threaten people with demonetization if they have a swear word in a video. Because mandated virtue isn't actually a moral high ground. It's a threat. And we should never stop seeing it that way. If you have thoughts on this, share them. Anyway, till next time. Thank you. Bye.